Friends, I want to talk to you today about something many of us have experienced: narcissistic people. In a world that's increasingly distracted and self-centered, it's easy to fall prey to narcissists who thrive on control, manipulation, and self-absorption. But I want you to know that you have the power to protect yourself. So let's dive into how we can keep narcissists away in 2025 and beyond. First, know your worth. It all starts with knowing who you are in the eyes of God. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. When you truly understand your worth, it becomes easier to spot those who want to diminish you. Narcissists are like parasites. They will attach themselves to your life, but only if you let them. They need you to feel small so they can feel big. But when you stand firm in your identity, they no longer have any hold over you. You are enough just as you are. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. Second, set healthy boundaries. Boundaries are not walls to shut people out, but rather lines that protect your peace and well-being. If you don't set boundaries, a narcissist will walk all over you, expecting you to accommodate their needs while disregarding yours. Don't be afraid to say no. Don't be afraid to speak up when something isn't right. Setting boundaries is a powerful act of self-love, and it sends a clear message that you respect yourself and your time. Third, recognize the red flags. Narcissists don't always wear signs that say, "I'm a narcissist." They often start by charming you, making you feel special. But over time, their true colors start to show. They'll demand constant attention, disregard your feelings, and manipulate situations for their own gain. Pay attention to how people treat you when they're not looking to get anything from you. You will find the truth of who they are in those moments. Trust your instincts. Lastly, don't engage in the drama. Narcissists are masters of drama. They will twist your words, play mind games, and create conflict out of nothing. But remember, peace is your priority. When the drama starts, don't engage. Don't let their chaos steal your joy. Walk away from the storm and hold on to the calm that God provides. You are not responsible for their emotional turmoil, and you don't have to take it on yourself. Friends, we are living in a world where it's easy to get lost in the noise and manipulation of narcissistic behaviors. But we don't have to tolerate it. We have the power to protect ourselves, to stand firm in our boundaries, and to choose peace over drama. Keep your life filled with love, joy, and truth. You don't need toxic relationships to thrive, only healthy, God-centered connections. May you walk in the freedom that comes from knowing who you are and refusing to settle for anything less than God's best. God bless you. Understanding your worth is the foundation of protecting yourself from toxic relationships, including narcissistic ones. So often, people, especially those with a kind and giving nature, are vulnerable to narcissists because they don't fully understand their value. Narcissists thrive on the ability to manipulate others into feeling less than they are, and they often do this by exploiting weaknesses such as low self-esteem, a need for validation, or a lack of self-worth. But when you understand and embrace your true worth, you become untouchable to their schemes. You are created with purpose, and that purpose isn't tied to someone else's approval or recognition. When you know that you are valuable just because you exist, and that your worth comes from the Creator, the need to seek validation from others, particularly narcissistic individuals, diminishes. Narcissists often look for people who are unsure of their worth or are constantly seeking affirmation because this gives them control. But when you stand firm in knowing that you are loved, seen, and worthy regardless of what anyone else thinks, you put up a natural defense against manipulation. The world can often make us feel like our worth is tied to what we do, how we look, or what we have. This constant pressure to measure up can make us vulnerable to toxic people who want to take advantage of our insecurities. However, recognizing that your worth is not contingent on your external circumstances is crucial. Your value comes from who you are on the inside, from the unique gifts and talents God has given you, and from the love that surrounds you. When you understand this, you start to show up differently in the world. You stop giving your power away to people who don't deserve it. You stop allowing someone else's opinion to define your worth. Imagine a person who knows they are valuable. This person doesn't beg for attention or approval. They are secure in who they are, knowing that their identity is not up for debate. A narcissist, on the other hand, will try to convince you that your worth is determined by how much you can give to them. Narcissists often want to feel superior and will do whatever it takes to maintain that sense of superiority, whether it's through manipulation, belittling, or gaslighting. When you don't give them the emotional fuel they're looking for, you become less appealing to them. Knowing your worth also helps you to make better choices in relationships. When you understand that you deserve love, respect, and kindness, you will not tolerate being treated poorly. Narcissists thrive on making others feel inferior or used. They feed off people's lack of boundaries and self-worth. But when you set those boundaries firmly, when you refuse to engage in their power games, you stop being a target. You begin to recognize that you are worthy of healthy, mutually respectful relationships, and you will start to gravitate toward people who see you for who you truly are without the need for manipulation or control. The journey to understanding your worth can be a process. Many of us spend years battling insecurity or questioning our value, especially when we've been in toxic relationships or environments that have told us we aren't enough. But one of the most powerful truths we can embrace is that our worth is not something we need to earn. It's something that is inherent in who we are as individuals. It's the understanding that you are loved unconditionally, that you are enough exactly as you are, and that you don't need to prove anything to anyone. Narcissists prey on people who feel incomplete or unworthy. They give just enough attention and praise to draw you in, making you feel special, but it's all a facade. The moment you stop seeking validation from them and realize that you are already whole, they lose their power. The moment you decide that you are enough, just as you are, you take away their ability to manipulate your emotions. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. And when you understand your worth, you stop consenting to be made to feel small or insignificant. One of the most transformative things you can do is look at yourself the way God looks at you. You are His beloved child, intricately created with purpose. Your worth is not determined by how much you accomplish or how others perceive you. Your worth is grounded in the fact that you are made in His image. When you begin to see yourself in this light, it changes everything. You stop needing someone else to tell you how valuable you are. You recognize that you are priceless and that anyone who treats you otherwise is not worthy of your time or energy. In this journey, it's essential to affirm yourself daily. Remind yourself that you are worthy of respect, love, and peace. This affirmation strengthens your inner resolve, enabling you to withstand any external pressures, including those from narcissistic individuals. You don't need to chase after someone else's affirmation when you've already affirmed yourself in the truth of who you are. Understanding your worth isn't just a one-time realization. It's a continual practice of embracing your value. As you do this, you will become less vulnerable to the narcissistic behaviors around you. You will begin to make choices that align with your true worth. And as a result, you will attract relationships that honor and respect you for who you truly are. So take a moment today to stand firm in your identity. You are worthy, and you don't need anyone to validate that truth. Your worth is secure, and no one can take that away from you. When you fully embrace this, narcissists will no longer have a hold on your life. Setting healthy boundaries is one of the most powerful tools you can use to protect yourself from narcissistic individuals. Boundaries are not walls that keep people out. Rather, they are guidelines that protect your emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. Without clear boundaries, narcissists will push their way into your life, manipulating situations and expectations to suit their own needs. They thrive on exploiting others, and if you allow them to overstep, they will take advantage of your kindness, generosity, and willingness to compromise. But when you set boundaries, you are essentially telling them that you know your value and you refuse to be treated poorly. Boundaries start with understanding what is acceptable behavior and what is not. Often, narcissists use guilt, charm, or emotional manipulation to make you feel responsible for their needs or problems. They may demand your time, energy, and resources without regard for your own well-being. But the key to healthy boundaries is understanding that you are not responsible for their emotions or actions. You are not here to solve their problems or fix their brokenness. When you establish boundaries, you are taking responsibility of your own well-being, and you are making it clear that your needs matter too. It is important to recognize that setting boundaries is not about being selfish or mean-spirited. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Boundaries are an act of self-respect. They reflect your belief that your needs, feelings, and time are just as important as anyone else's. They prevent you from being overwhelmed or manipulated, and they allow you to preserve your energy for the people and activities that genuinely nurture you. When you fail to set boundaries, you give away your energy to people who don't value it, leaving you drained, frustrated, and resentful. But when you establish boundaries, you take control of your life and you protect your peace. The first step in setting boundaries with a narcissist is recognizing their manipulative tactics. Narcissists will often push your boundaries subtly, testing how much they can get away with. They may call you late at night to demand your attention, expect you to drop everything for them at a moment's notice, or make you feel guilty for not meeting their needs. They are expert at making you feel like you owe them something, even when you don't. The trick is to identify these behaviors early so you can stop them before they become entrenched. When you recognize the pattern, you can set clear and firm boundaries without feeling guilty or uncertain. Once you are aware of these behaviors, it's time to communicate your boundaries clearly and assertively. Narcissists often respond to weakness or hesitation, so it's crucial to be confident when you state your needs. You don't need to explain yourself or justify your boundaries. Simply stating, "I can't do that right now," or "that's not acceptable behavior," is often enough. You may feel the urge to apologize, but don't. Setting boundaries is not something to apologize for. It's a healthy, necessary action that reflects your commitment to protecting yourself and preserving your peace. Narcissists may try to challenge your boundaries. They may try to guilt trip you or manipulate you into feeling bad for standing up for yourself. Don't let their attempts break your resolve. If they continue to push, calmly reinforce your boundaries without engaging in an argument. For example, if a narcissist demands your time or favors, and you've already said no, simply repeat your response, "I've already told you no," or "that's not something I'm willing to do." The more consistent and firm you are, the more likely they are to respect your boundaries. If they don't respect them, it's a sign that the relationship is toxic and that you need to reevaluate whether it's worth keeping. Another crucial aspect of setting boundaries with narcissists is learning to prioritize your own needs. It's easy to fall into the trap of trying to please everyone, especially when dealing with someone who thrives on attention and admiration. But constantly prioritizing others, especially a narcissist, will only leave you feeling exhausted and unappreciated. You are allowed to say no without feeling guilty. You are allowed to take time for yourself. You are allowed to protect your emotional space. Boundaries help you honor your own needs and well-being, ensuring that you don't burn out or lose yourself in the process of trying to meet others' demands. It's also important to understand that setting boundaries may cause some temporary discomfort, especially if the narcissist is used to having things their way. They may react negatively or attempt to escalate their demands. However, this is a sign that your boundaries are working. Narcissists are used to being in control, and they will push back when they no longer have that control. Stay calm and firm, and don't get pulled into their emotional manipulation. By sticking to your boundaries, you show that you will not tolerate being mistreated or taken for granted. Remember that setting boundaries is a process, and it requires practice and patience. The more you practice asserting your boundaries, the easier it becomes. The more you assert your boundaries with a narcissist, the more you reclaim your power. You start to take back control of your time, your energy, and your life. And ultimately, you teach others how to treat you by showing them what you will and will not tolerate. It's essential to understand that boundaries don't just protect you from narcissists, they also serve to strengthen your sense of self. When you enforce your boundaries, you are reinforcing your self-worth and making it clear that you are worthy of respect. It is an act of self-care that shows you are committed to your own mental, emotional, and spiritual health. Setting boundaries with a narcissist may feel difficult at first. But with time, you will find that they help you maintain peace and emotional stability, allowing you to focus on the relationships and activities that truly nourish you. Recognizing the red flags early is one of the most important steps in protecting yourself from narcissists. Narcissists can often be charming and charismatic at first, making it easy to be swept up in their initial displays of attention, affection, and admiration. But as the relationship progresses, subtle behaviors begin to emerge that can alert you to the fact that something isn't quite right. Recognizing these red flags early on gives you the power to protect your peace and avoid falling deeper into a toxic dynamic. One of the first red flags to watch out for is a narcissist's tendency to idealize you in the beginning. In the early stages of a relationship, they may shower you with compliments, praise, and seemingly genuine interest. They may appear too good to be true, and at first you may feel flattered by their attention. However, this intense adoration is often short-lived. Once they feel they have you hooked, their behavior shifts. They may begin to devalue you, becoming critical or dismissive of your needs, emotions, or accomplishments. This pattern of idealization followed by devaluation is a classic hallmark of narcissistic behavior. It can be hard to spot at first because it often feels like love or admiration. But if you start to feel like you're on an emotional roller coaster where you're being praised one moment and criticized the next, it's a clear indication that you're dealing with someone who is not emotionally stable or healthy. Another key red flag to recognize is the narcissist's need for control. Narcissists often want to control every aspect of a relationship, from how much time you spend together to how you spend your money, your attention, and your energy. They may try to isolate you from your friends and family, subtly or overtly demanding that you prioritize them above everyone else. This is not love, it's manipulation. They may use guilt or shame to make you feel responsible for their emotional well-being, pressuring you to make them your number one priority at the expense of your own needs. The desire to control everything from your thoughts to your actions is a powerful tool that narcissists use to keep you tethered to them. Recognizing this behavior early can help you realize that their demands are not based on love or mutual respect, but rather a need to maintain power and dominance. Another red flag is the narcissist's lack of empathy. While they may be able to mimic emotions and understand what others want to hear, they do not truly empathize with other people's feelings. Narcissists tend to view others as extensions of themselves, rather than as separate individuals with their own emotions, desires, and needs. If you find that your concerns or feelings are consistently dismissed or minimized, or that the narcissist is unable to show genuine compassion when you are struggling, it's a major red flag. A narcissist will often ignore your emotional needs while expecting you to cater to theirs. They may even try to gaslight you, making you question your own perceptions or feelings. For example, they might dismiss your concerns with phrases like, "You're too sensitive," or "That's not a big deal," invalidating your emotions and making you feel like you're overreacting. This lack of empathy is one of the most damaging traits of a narcissist, as it leaves you feeling unseen, unheard, and unimportant. Additionally, narcissists often have a deep need for admiration and validation, and they will go to great lengths to get it. They may constantly seek out praise, but they are rarely willing to give it in return. This self-centeredness is often disguised as a desire to be appreciated for their unique qualities, but the truth is, they expect to be the center of attention at all times. If you notice that the narcissist in your life always wants to be praised for even the smallest of accomplishments, or if they are constantly fishing for compliments, it's a sign that they are seeking validation in unhealthy ways. A healthy relationship should be mutual, with both people giving and receiving affirmation and support. Narcissists, however, tend to take and rarely give, leaving their partners feeling emotionally drained. A narcissist's tendency to make everything about them is another red flag. They often dominate conversations, turning every discussion back to themselves, their experiences, and their needs. When you try to share your own feelings or experiences, they may interrupt or dismiss what you have to say, often directing the conversation back to their own narrative. This is an important warning sign that the relationship is not balanced or respectful. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, where both parties listen to each other and validate each other's perspectives. Narcissists, however, demand attention and admiration, and they expect others to revolve around them. If you find yourself constantly sidelined in conversations or made to feel like your thoughts and feelings don't matter, it's a clear indication that the narcissist is trying to maintain control of the relationship. Another red flag is their tendency to act like they're always right or to refuse to take responsibility for their actions. Narcissists have a fragile ego and they cannot stand to be wrong or criticized. They will often deflect blame onto others or make excuses for their behavior. If you find that they never admit when they've made a mistake, or if they always shift the blame onto you or others, it's a sign that they are unable or unwilling to take accountability for their actions. This refusal to take responsibility can create a toxic cycle of blame and defensiveness, leaving you feeling like you're constantly walking on eggshells. Recognizing these red flags early in a relationship gives you the power to make a choice. It's easy to overlook or rationalize narcissistic behaviors, especially when they come on strong in the beginning. But the key is to pay attention to how they treat you over time. If you notice these signs: manipulation, lack of empathy, constant need for attention, refusal to take responsibility, it's crucial to take a step back and evaluate whether this relationship is truly healthy. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't ignore your gut feelings. By recognizing the red flags early, you can protect yourself from further emotional harm and avoid becoming entangled in a narcissistic relationship. Your worth is not tied to someone else's ability to validate you, and you deserve to be treated with kindness, respect, and understanding. One of the most effective ways to keep narcissists away is by refusing to engage in the drama they often create. Narcissists thrive on conflict, attention, and chaos. They are skilled at manipulating situations to make themselves the center of attention, often at the expense of your peace and well-being. They may create arguments out of nothing, twist your words, or even provoke emotional reactions in you to feed their need for control and validation. Their world is built on drama and disruption, and they feed off the emotional energy of others. However, when you choose not to engage with their antics, you take away the power they have over you and protect your own mental and emotional health. The first step in refusing to engage in the drama is recognizing that it's happening. Narcissists are experts at stirring the pot, and they may do so in ways that seem subtle at first. They might make a small comment or ask a seemingly innocent question that sets off a chain of reactions. They might twist your words or make you feel as though you've said or done something wrong when you haven't. They want to provoke an emotional response, and when they succeed, they gain the upper hand. Once you recognize these tactics, you can begin to detach emotionally and avoid being drawn into the conflict. The key is to maintain control over your own emotions and refuse to let their drama become your reality. It's important to understand that when a narcissist is trying to create drama, it's rarely about resolving an issue or reaching an understanding. Their goal is to dominate the situation and redirect the focus back to themselves. They may try to make you feel guilty, ashamed, or responsible for their behavior. They may even turn the conversation into an accusation, making you feel as though you are the one who has caused the problem. This is a common manipulation tactic used by narcissists to deflect attention from their own flaws or mistakes. The moment you realize that their aim is not resolution but control, you can disengage from the drama and regain your power. When a narcissist begins to escalate a situation, it's easy to feel like you need to defend yourself, explain your actions, or prove that you are right. However, engaging in these debates only serves to fuel their need for validation and dominance. Narcissists rarely accept responsibility for their actions, and they are not interested in a fair or rational discussion. They want to win the argument, and they will use any tactic necessary to do so. Whether it's playing the victim, making you feel guilty, or resorting to emotional manipulation, they will do whatever it takes to get the upper hand. The best way to avoid getting trapped in these cycles of drama is to refuse to engage in the argument altogether. Sometimes the best response is no response. Don't give them the emotional energy they crave. One of the most challenging aspects of dealing with narcissists is their ability to manipulate your emotions. They may use tactics like gaslighting to make you question your own reality, telling you that you're overreacting or that your feelings are invalid. This is a classic narcissistic move to confuse and destabilize you, making you feel like you can't trust yourself. But when you choose not to engage in their drama, you refuse to let them control your emotions. You decide that your peace and clarity are more important than being dragged into an argument. It's essential to set a mental boundary that when a narcissist tries to manipulate you, you will not allow them to succeed. You will not let them pull you into a fight or make you feel bad for setting limits. You will stand firm in your self-respect. Refusing to engage in the drama also involves learning how to walk away. Narcissists thrive on keeping people in the chaos of their emotions, often manipulating situations to keep you hooked. If they see that their drama no longer elicits the response they want from you, they may try to escalate the situation further. But if you simply walk away, stop answering their calls, or refuse to continue the conversation, you take away their power. Walking away is a powerful form of self-care, and it sends a clear message that you are no longer willing to tolerate their disruptive behavior. It also helps to protect your emotional energy, allowing you to remain centered and calm rather than becoming ensnared in their toxic behavior. In addition to walking away from the drama, it's important to surround yourself with people who respect your boundaries and value your peace. Narcissists often thrive in environments where they can isolate their targets from others so they are able to maintain control. However, when you cultivate a network of supportive, healthy relationships, it becomes easier to reject the narcissist's attempts to pull you into their emotional chaos. Having people around you who reinforce your worth and provide a healthy perspective on situations helps you stay grounded and avoid falling prey to manipulation. Another crucial aspect of refusing to engage in narcissistic drama is taking care of your own emotional well-being. You don't have to participate in their games to feel validated or important. Your worth does not come from drama or conflict. In fact, when you step out of the toxic cycle that narcissists try to create, you will find that your emotional health improves dramatically. You will experience more peace, clarity, and joy in your life as you are no longer distracted by the constant turmoil that narcissists bring. In many ways, refusing to engage in the drama is an act of self-love. You are choosing not to let someone else's chaotic, self-centered world dictate your emotional state. You are choosing to prioritize your own peace, well-being, and happiness over the narcissist's need for validation and control. By doing so, you reclaim your power and protect yourself from the toxic influence of narcissistic individuals. Lastly, remember that refusing to engage doesn't mean you have to be rude or hostile. You can remain calm and polite while still maintaining firm boundaries. The key is to detach emotionally and recognize that their need for drama has nothing to do with you. You can acknowledge their behavior without allowing it to affect you. This allows you to preserve your peace and avoid getting caught in their web of emotional manipulation. The more you practice disengaging from the drama, the easier it becomes to maintain your own sense of inner peace and stability, regardless of what the narcissist is doing.